We got J Mitch, we got Jackie Boy.
He tried to jump up and he might have knocked it in.
Good timing, let's go. What a start to the Monday. I mean, I'm from Lafayette. My boys will come in and say,
oh, God. So me and Joe on the ground, I got Joe in the headlock. And he's sitting there, he's punching me in the stomach, like, punching me.
Here, is everyone sitting around? Who here thinks Chico can practice today after having 5 full beers? And he goes, Chad Jones, right? Chad's doing the team 6 minutes. For 7 minutes, right? Chad's like, no, man, I don't think Chico can practice today. And I was like, I look back, I'm like, Jesus Christ. I saw you there. You were more fucked up than me.
On the spirit plane had some issues, I think. She was sleep farting.
You heard her or you just thought it was her?
I sat right next to her and I smelled it.
Whoa. What was that?
Time for the show.
Now, when you do go to spring training, are you gonna bring your chinchilla and your turtle? My dad tell you about it.
The SEC is, God, they hate fat people. I mean, I get crushed for that. You know what I mean? It's like, come on, man.
Hey, just the South, bro. You got a bunch of food down here. Like they should.
Look at Lloyd.
You know what, Lloyd?
You're looking for a recruiting coordinator, coach. I'm here.
He's like, I'll piss my pants right now.
No way.
We're wearing gray pants, long gray pants. He goes, I'll piss my pants right now. Hello. Welcome back to Mik'd Up. Today is a Monday, October 23rd. It is bye week for LSU. They are coming off of a 62-0 win over Army. They got a lot of people saying that we disrespected the troops. I don't think so. I think we respected them very well. I think they would not have liked us to pull off the gas pedal and hit the brakes. I think it was a special night. It was a really cool night. You saw the guys parachuting in. I was really hoping for a flyover. Didn't get the flyover. I went in there early assuming that there was going to be one. There wasn't one. But I think the end zones looked awesome. I think they did a really good job of highlighting Army. They haven't played in LSU, I think, since, 1931 or 1935 or whatever it was.
So lost.
So that was pretty cool. I don't think anybody could have expected 62-0. I didn't think they were going to get to 62 points. They did. It was a great game. Dominant game offensively, dominant game defensively. We're going to talk a little bit about that, but I want to talk more about throughout the course of the day and what goes into the bye week, what to look forward to in 2 weeks. Obviously, LSU Alabama came out 6:45 on CBS. Lloyd was complaining that we haven't been on CBS because he loves the CBS broadcast crew so much. He was complaining. We're back on CBS.
Oh, my goodness.
Lloyd. Just for you, Lloyd. We're back on CBS. It is Monday, which means it is Moffitt Method Monday. He is going to be on the show in about 11 minutes. But before we get to him, and before we get to the rest of our sports show, we are back in the saddle with Keith Ricardo from the G team. You had a nice little hunt up there in South Dakota with Gordon. You and our friend Ramsey, y'all got dragged along. Somehow y'all made it with all the big boys. Who else? It was you and Ramsey and Gordon.
And Jack and Frank.
And a lot of the other big dogs around Baton Rouge, Louisiana. How'd y'all manage that?
No, I don't know how we made the cut, but I'll take it. Big shout out to the boss for inviting us on that one.
You must be a crack shot.
How'd y'all do? Y'all went duck hunting.
We crushed them.
Y'all crushed it. Pretty well.
I mean, it was
It was
a
last
big
bit of a
game.
great
y'all's responsibility going there was, hey, we don't have any shotgun shells. You'll have to go find them. Were you able to? I'm assuming you were able to find some.
We made it happen.
Nice.
We made it happen. Everybody
Nice.
everybody
Did
had their
it take a
ammo.
while?
No,
Yeah.
we figured it out pretty
Yeah.
quickly.
I'd imagine South Dakota, people go up there all the time. There's probably ample stores for you to go out and get some.
Yeah,
some
there's
shells.
a bunch of places where
Yeah, I'd
you
imagine.
can buy
I'd imagine.
stuff.
Well, it's good to be back. If you're new to the show or if you haven't paid attention to the show, if you forgot because it's been a week off, we do this every Monday for about 5-10 minute segment with Keith. We talk football because Keith was a All-American linebacker at Rummel and with the cowboy collar. And he knows football. He loves football. He loves LSU football. Loves Saints football. Saints, I think, are dead.
MVP of the
They
Bourbon Bowl.
stink. MVP of the Bourbon Bowl. He was, Bobby Boucher. He is in here. Not only is he going to talk football, he's also going to give us a little bit of law 101. So we've talked over the course of the last month or so, and he's given us different topics. We've talked about different topics on air. We're going to talk about it again today. But before we do that, you flew in from South Dakota. You're tired. You went to the game on Saturday. You see, obviously, offense, I think we don't really need to talk about. We understand how good they are. Jaden Daniels is, I think, number 2 in Heisman odds now. He should be in New York, especially if he goes and does what he needs to do against Alabama. Like, he's going to do the things he needs to do to get there. Defense has been improving. We didn't get to talk to you after the Auburn game, right? Yes. You weren't here before after the Auburn game. They played a really good game defensively against Auburn, and then obviously they blank Army. Now, what I really want to ask is, if you're at the game, Zy Alexander goes down, injury. Don't know the extent of the injury. Didn't look great. You already have a light secondary. No cornerbacks, really. Right. Denver Harris was inactive for the game. What do you do? How do you fix that?
I mean,
You have eligibility. You have people you need to go out there and just figure out who can, shell coverage. Hey, everybody get way back and just let them get 30 yards a pop.
yeah, I mean, I don't like that.
Yeah.
Like, you got to be aggressive. You're getting ready to play Alabama, right? You've got young guys that you brought to LSU for a reason. You've got guys like, she struggled a little bit early on, but I mean, he's still at LSU for a reason. You got Ashton Stamps, guys like that you can bring in, and it's LSU. It's next guy up. You got to come in ready to play.
Kylan Jackson played this past weekend.
Yeah.
You saw him on the field a little bit. You may look, Brian Kelly said all along, I am going to have a standard here at LSU. He's not going to give in to that standard. And if you don't do the things necessary for you to play and be part of that standard, you are not going to get rewarded, right? You've seen that with Deuce Chestnut. You saw that earlier in the season with Denver Harris. Obviously, Denver came back on the team. He got some playing time. He was inactive again last week. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. And so some people may say, oh, you don't have any cornerbacks. You don't have anybody in the secondary. They're going to have to play Denver Harris. And I would argue the opposite. I think that if Denver Harris is not doing the things he needs to do, I think that he's not playing. And you're just going to start putting those younger guys in, like you said, say, hey, go do it. You have to figure it out.
Yeah, BK is not coming off of his standard.
Right.
We've seen it time and time again throughout the season. He's not going to change that.
Speaking of standard, the G team has a big standard. You have a high standard, and y'all live up to that high standard, and y'all have done a really good job through the course of the course of the G team. Like however long it started, they've built that reputation, built that standard. Every Monday you come in, you give us another topic. If you're driving down the interstate, you see a lot of Gordon on there. And you see a lot of him standing on the big trucks.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And some people may be confused, like, whoa, just 18-wheelers. No, they do all of that. But the reason why there's so much emphasis on that is because the laws for big truck drivers are a little bit different than just normal drivers. And you brought some homework for Lloyd today, it looks like.
Oh, no.
Got a little homework for Lloyd, When we talk about these standards and things like that, these big truck drivers are held to a different standard than
Your helmet just makes you laugh.
So, in addition to following the laws of the road that we all have to follow, because they are professional drivers, they have a higher standard that they're held to. And this standard is, set forth in all these laws.
Are you gonna read them out? You can't read them out.
Wait. Let's page 1, chapter 1.
Look, it's a picture book.
My driving
It's a picture
class
book.
book
Oh,
didn't
now
look
man.
like
It's a
that.
picture book.
Right?
Said my driving class book didn't look like that. Good God.
Exactly.
I failed my driver's test.
Oh,
so-
really? That's not surprising.
You know, these guys are professionals. They should be held to a higher standard.
Right, and they're driving these monster trucks, which obviously is a lot more dangerous.
Now
On
we're
the
in.
interstate.
Now I'm in.
Yeah, now you're
Monster trucks?
well, not actual monster trucks, the way they're just monster as in the size.
Oh, like colossal.
Like colossal, like Lil Wayne said.
Right. So the potential for injury is, of course,
Yeah.
much higher.
Right.
I mean, these are giant vehicles, high rate of speed. If you get hit by one of these, there's potential for serious injury there.
Yep, or death.
Or death. And that's why these laws are put into place.
So give me an example, like what's a law that a truck driver would have to abide by that a normal driver wouldn't?
Well,
Is driving time one?
Is driving in the left lane one?
So just, you know, there's a couple little things, like they have to regularly check out the vehicle that they're driving, like machine-wise. They've got to make sure that their tires are good. Little things like that they need to do before they're going on these big trips.
And if they don't do that, right, and something were to happen, how do you, I guess they have documentation on that? Like they go and say, hey, I checked. What if they did it? They have to go to a spot to do it, or they do it personally? Like, how do they document?
So it's a little bit of both. You know, there are different protocols for different things. And
Right.
obviously, you know, the famous lawyer saying is, you know, it depends. So it really depends on what you're looking at. Everything's going to be circumstantial. But particularly, every trucking company is also supposed to have their own protocol that they follow. So in case something happens, they can go through and check their box and say, look, this, and this was done. So we did everything that we could to prevent something from happening. And now, you know, a big issue that we often see is when someone is involved in an accident with one of these big trucks, obviously these drivers never want to take the responsibility.
Of course.
You know, they don't want to report, they don't want to get in trouble with their job, you know. And these trucking companies essentially, like I said, they have this protocol. And typically one of the first things that truck drivers have to do is they've got to get on the phone, tell their boss they were in an accident. Okay? When they do this, it's almost like a Lane Kiffin playbook is the best way to go about saying it on his first drive. These companies have a set playbook on what they're telling their drivers to say to an investigating officer, you know, how to proceed immediately after the accident. They've got these catastrophic response teams that a lot of times they'll send out immediately, all in order to get ahead of whoever a potential injured claimant is.
Right.
So they are taking that initial step to minimize your damages almost immediately. And the good thing about hiring us is, you know, we're used to seeing these playbooks. You know,
So how do you counter that? How do you defend that playbook?
again, it's all
depends.
circumstantial.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, a lot of times that helps, like,
Eyewitnesses, you have to get that
Eyewitnesses
stuff,
will help.
Camera, maybe.
right. A
try
lot
to
of
refute what they're-
these trucks now have dash cams. You know, we're going to try and get a hold of that dash cam video. You know, pictures of the accident scene sometimes help. You can see tire marks or treads on a tire, different things like that. That, you know, we're going to go ahead and take that initiative to try and get to make sure that we can counter their set playbook that they've got going on.
And I'd imagine that, you know, being an injury attorney, you see these types of accidents a lot, right? Like,
All the time.
A lot of people drive. Everybody drives on the interstate. You know, people driving back and forth. There's 18-wheelers on the interstate all the time. I would imagine that this is something that's very common. So you are very well equipped and very experienced in handling these types of situations.
Absolutely, we deal with them every day.
Good.
So-
Lloyd, this is not giving you the okay to drive on the interstate and then cut off an 18-wheeler and then touch your brakes so they can land you. That's not, can't do that.
Yeah, they'll catch you on the dash cam for that one.
Yeah. It's not good.
Oh,
I know you've been thinking.
My weekend's ruined.
I know your mind's running. I know
Yes.
your mind's running. I mean, this to me, out of all the things that we've talked about, right? Weeks like this one to me seems like this one probably happens the most.
And you
frequently.
marry the woman that's driving the truck that's with him. Like, they always take vacations together. Have you ever seen that? Like, have you ever been like a long drive and they have their wife in the car? Like, they sign up for that.
Oh, Oh, you're talking about the truck driver. I thought you were going like you married the truck driver's wife.
How do you know?
Yeah, I wasn't sure where that was headed.
Me either.
How do you know who's in their truck?
I mean, I've been on a lot of loves.
They have beds, right, in the back of their thing. Do they? Isn't that the case?
Yeah,
too?
they bring,
Typically,
like,
yeah,
their
like
dog.
sometimes they'll have that in the cab.
Yeah.
That's a tough.
Talk about signing up for. If you thought minor league baseball
tough
relationships were
for
hard.
It's tough, and that's why you have all these laws.
That's why you have all the laws.
It's not for everybody.
And look, if this has happened to you, what number do you call?
888-8888.
Boom. See, yeah, you do it better than I do. I'd say too many eights.
7 8.
No, too many eights. 7 8s. There's 7 8s. All 8s though, not 7, just 7 8s. It's a little confusing, but
Snowman.
snowman, a lot of snowmans. We appreciate you, like we do every Sunday. I was easing you back into this.
I appreciate that.
It's the bye week. Everybody gets a little time off. You went to South Dakota, came back. Now you have a bye week. No football. No, you have a wedding this weekend.
Got a wedding.
Here's the big question, though. Next week.
What's the capital of South Dakota?
Fargo.
Is it?
Yes.
I don't know. He said.
I have no idea.
I think you're right, actually. Next weekend, LSU goes to Alabama.
Yep.
Also, Saturday is what else is Saturday? That Saturday? First day of duck season, isn't it?
Saturday after that.
After Alabama. Oh, I thought
Florida.
It's okay, even better. Florida. Where are you gonna be?
Oh, I'm gonna make a hunt in the morning.
You can do both.
Oh, I'm hitting the
Okay.
2 for 1. There's
All right.
no
Listen,
question.
there's some guys that say I'm not going to Florida, and I'm like, well, you're an idiot.
No,
That's gonna be one. That's probably the biggest.
What if it's
game
an
of
11
Absolutely.
a.m. game?
What if it's what?
11 a.m.
We'll be done by then.
Done and back.
Limit
and-
out.
Yeah, I think
That's
we'll
tough.
be done.
That's tough. Okay.
We're gonna kill some birds
We'll
over
talk.
the day.
We'll see where it's at after the game time next week. We appreciate you. We appreciate the G team coming here, educating us, educating all of our listeners. We'll have you back again next Monday. Enjoy the week. Enjoy this weekend. Enjoy not being stressed about LSU. You can stress about the Saints. We're going to talk a little bit about the Saints. We're running out of time. They stink. We'll get into that next week.
All right.
Again, hopefully they have a little bit different.
G Team helmet sticker. Who are you giving it to for this weekend?
Oh yeah,
This past weekend?
That's a good addition to this G team helmet sticker
For LSU?
for LSU.
Probably gonna give it to Trey Holly.
I love
Okay,
that call.
there you go.
I like that.
Yeah,
A
get him
back
in there.
that, he showed up, got his chance, showed out. You gotta love it.
No doubt. We appreciate you as always. We'll see you again next Monday. Thank you for the education. Let's give it a hand for.
Thank y'all, fellas.
Keith the Carter. I appreciate you committing to the helmet. It's a great
Absolutely. I
Look.
love
It's a
it.
great look. I love that you love it. I love it too.
You might be wearing it more than we think.
Look, you may be wearing it at home.
That's
You
what-
probably watched the game in that.
Tommy Moffitt saw it and was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh, we got a guy here.
Tommy Moffitt, look, he's on the on deck circle. You can see him back there. He's getting prepared. He's studying for the show. It's Moffitt Method Monday. Appreciate you, Keith. Enjoy it. Be safe going back. Coach, you can come on in. You're next. Moffitt Method Mondays. We are excited. What's that?
I can't.
You can't follow. Look, we're not making you wear a helmet. No, nothing. You can just come in, hang out. The beauty of it is we have a lot to talk about today, but it's not necessarily about, hey, what did they do right, what did they do wrong, right? Obviously, they played Army. They did what they needed to do. They shut them out, and they go into the bye week. For me, I guess my question to you is, as a strength coach, as a football coach, how do you approach a bye week, especially after having a game like you did and then going into the game that you have in 2 weeks? How do you approach this week?
So first of all, the football staff, they had all the guys last week working on a self-scout. So they look at the self-scout, they look at the things they've done well, they look at the things that they haven't done well, they look for tendencies in play calling, etc. And so those guys are going to work on those projects, and I don't know how many times they're going to practice. But at least a couple of the practices will be spent on fundamentals that they feel like the team needs to improve upon. So in the weight room, and I'm sure Jake and those guys have a really good plan. Number one, you want to focus and try to get everybody healthy, which hopefully, they're well on the way of getting that taken care of. And, depending on how the calendar fell for us, There were a couple of years where I, said, irregardless, we're playing Alabama, where it doesn't matter where we are in the schedule, I want to give our guys a lighter week, what we call a download week. And we lost both of those games. And so, you point the finger at yourself, and you say, oh, my God. So I got away from that. And, you look at the calendar at the beginning of the year, you plan out the year, you're looking at all the technology, you're looking at practice loads, game loads, you look at the force plate data to see how well you're jumping. And then we planned our breaks in training based on evidence. And I'm sure that's how Jake and them will handle it also. And you just, you try to be positive. And the tough thing, and I've talked about this last week, when you have 2 weeks off for a game like this, a game of this magnitude, and Alabama certainly isn't as good as they have been in the past. LSU is playing lights out right now. So you would think that LSU has the advantage, but it's still a lot to process, especially for young kids.
Right.
There's just so many distractions. I think Coach Saban calls it, what's he call it, rat poison or something. Mm-hmm. There's so much of all that type of stuff going on both sides.
Especially nowadays, social media and all of that.
Yeah. Oh, it's unbelievable. And then you have uncles and cousins and brothers and moms and dads, and everybody is telling everybody what they ought to be doing. There's a lot going on right now, a lot.
This question isn't really geared towards this bye week and or Alabama, but it's more geared towards what they've done so far in the year and the time of the year that this is. You stacked a couple wins together. The defense is starting to come along. Nobody ever really wants to just start fast because that kind of gives you the feel of you're going to go through some bumps, right? Mm-hmm. They didn't start fast.
Right.
They lost some games because of it. But I don't think anyone here or anyone anywhere could really sit here and say they aren't absolutely rolling right now.
Oh no, there's still work, and I remember, and I think it was Art Kehoe, our old line coach at Miami, would always say, we have miles and miles to go before we sleep. And that's the way the season is. There's always something that you can improve upon, the little things. And, tackling has been one of those things on defense that we've needed to work on, and we've gotten better at that. But that is something that has to be in those practice plans every week. And so, you just look at the big picture, and, in the first time that I was here, I said that there's things that you say to yourself, if we're going to turn this team around, we have to do this. If we're going to turn the team around, we can't do this anymore. And if we're going to, turn this team around, we have to continue doing this.
Right.
Well, those three things are still critical for the improvement of this football team because, realistically, they have a shot to be the Western Division champions.
Yeah.
And so there is a lot to play for. You don't want to get too far ahead of yourself, but you're playing for a championship. And so when you do that, you can never be good enough. You have to just keep working, keep your eyes focused, right here. You got to have tunnel vision, be where your feet are every day, and work to get better every day.
Is that something that you can instill mid-season? Is it something that's early on in the year? Because like you mentioned, the rat poison's coming in, right?
Yeah.
And you got a team that's rolling. Well, how do you keep them on straight and narrow? How do you keep them going and not have them stray from where they are?
If I had the answer to that, I still might be coaching. I don't know. You have to address it all the time, and it's got to be like that. First of all, and we talked about this all the time. There has to be one voice, and everyone in that building has to echo what Coach Kelly says. There can't be Coach Kelly says this, and another coach says this, and the strength coach has got his own agenda. everyone has to march to the beat of one drum, and that message has to permeate through the entire staff first. And you get your staff headed in the right direction, and all of those guys are on the same page, and then the team follows. Leadership starts at the top, and so it's something that you have to work on every day. And there can't be any room for tolerance on any behavior that isn't conducive to the team getting better and winning. And you have to nip it like Barney said on the Andy Griffith show. You got to nip it in the bud, and you can't let that stuff fester because it will. And they hear it, they read it on social media, they hear it from their family and from the people in class and professors, and you just got to nip it and just stay focused and zero tolerance for any of that.
Because it's hard to bring you back down once you feel like you're already there.
I know.
So part of the issues on the defense have been in the secondary, right? And you go into this bye week and you have guys that are injured. Zy Alexander goes down at halftime. Hopefully it's not too serious. It didn't look great. Then you have a couple guys that are out. I kind of mentioned at the beginning of the show that either were inactive, or two of them, or a couple of them are inactive. They're kind of going through their own little deal that Brian Kelly, I think, is handling it the right way. Yeah. But a position that was already light is even lighter. Now you have a week to kind of week and a half or so to recover if it's recoverable. As a coach, right? Take the strength coach out of it. Take the recovery part out of it. As a coach, and you have a position group like that is just either decimated or just extremely, or both decimated and young. How do you manage that? Especially going into this Alabama game where you're like, okay, we have on the road against a team that's top 10 team in the country in Alabama.
Yeah. So it's too late. That's what it is. I mean, you're just like, oh my gosh. So, first of all, you're recruiting your butt off. Uh-huh. You're on the phone. You're calling every coach you can possibly call because, you get me once, shame on you. You get me twice, shame on me. So that staff is recruiting their tail off right now. And, we lost a big kid, the kid from Nashville, Andre, lost him to Georgia. So, you're recruiting all the time that's the best way to fix it.
Right.
But, that's long term. Short term, you look at what you have. And, unfortunately, the guys that aren't there for whatever reason, they're not there, those aren't the guys that you can trust in or trust anyway. Right. So you got to be careful, taking a guy off of waivers and then throwing him out there and giving up big plays. Right. So you look at schematics, you look at it schematically, and you try, again, part of that self-scout is going to be fundamental work, and you take those guys that you have that you can trust, that are healthy, and you work them fundamentally, and you just try to spot play them. You find a couple of guys that you can throw in situations where you know that they're not going to hurt you, and then you just hope and pray that you hold up.
Right.
You got to get a good rush. You got to make sure your front seven's dialed in. You have good gap integrity. Guys are hustling, making plays, and you just hope and pray that, one of those guys don't give up a big play.
And I'm going to kind of try to relate this to baseball a little bit, right? There's been a lot of conversation in baseball right now. They added an extra playoff team. So now the wild card game, that used to be a game, now is a wild card series. So it's a 3-game series. And these teams that are winning their division, they have this bye week going into the divisional series. They have 5-6 days off before they play, and a lot of those teams lost. They didn't have a lot of good offensive showing because they felt like, they had too much downtime. They had too much of this. Does it kind of work the same way in football, right? You have a bye week, the offense is rolling, Defense is starting to gain some momentum, and now you hit a bye week. Is there a chance to do that?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Me personally, I hated the bye week, especially the bye week before the Alabama game when the stakes were so high. You know, it is a for the quarterbacks, the wide receivers, DBs that have to high point a ball in the air and make a play on it, that's a fine motor skill. And then the speed of your perception, the way things happen in a game. And then, you know, we all did this, you know, in school. You stare at a test, you know, you stare at your homework, and you stare at it, and you study it, and you study it. It used to do me some good to walk away from it because
And never come back.
yeah, but the more you focus on something, sometimes the dumber you got, you know, and that's the way it is with, in my opinion, preparing for a contest like this with so much stuff. And then your coordinators end up doing more because they have so much more time available.
Not more too much.
Yeah, exactly. They do too much, and too much looks just like not enough.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
It's the same thing.
Makes you look unprepared.
Yes, you get the same result whether you have too much in the game plan or you have too little in the game plan. The result is still always the same. So I hated the open date. Now, you need one, but it was always, for us, it was always right before the Alabama game. And so it's like being in a pressure cooker for 2 weeks. And, you know, again, they were always, you know, picked, not always, but most of the time they were, again, playing from a position of strength, and we were playing from a position of weakness. So, again, the tables are a little turned, so hopefully it works out to our advantage.
Now, but on this bye week, how many days off? I mean, y'all both can speak to this because y'all.
Yeah.
Like, how does this work? Like, coach is different. Do they have Sunday, Monday off? Do they have 3 days off? And then, like, how does it? What does their schedule look like?
Every coach is always different.
Yeah.
I don't think there's an exact science. I just, you know, I think it's important. You know, you need to practice, and some people, it's like training camp. And then others don't practice enough.
Right.
So I think there's just a healthy balance that you've got to achieve.
So it's, I guess I'm going to try to put this one into words just to kind of give people a feel of it. Being in Tiger Stadium and getting a chance to play in Tiger Stadium it's unbelievable. It's also unbelievable when the hype around whatever said game matches what's actually going to happen on the field. That's unbelievable. But being the opportunity that you kind of get a chance to do that at this place at least once a year, every year, which you don't get a chance for every year, is getting this late into the season and going into a hostile environment with it actually meaning something. Being someone that's been ground zero on a lot of these occasions, going into stadiums like this, is that something you kind of look back on as much of your career and being like, those are special moments? Because I don't think people understand just how much of all of the work you do in the summer and all of this stuff, and it's literally just a group of guys, and you're the most hated people in the state at the point.
Yeah, the best part about that also, because I couldn't have probably described it as eloquently as you did, but the best part about that is walking out and double burden everybody.
I mean, that's a great way to go about it.
Yeah.
I think you killed me.
Yeah.
That's actually better than he just said.
Yeah.
No doubt.
So
Eloquent's not the word.
yeah. So there isn't, you know, I went to the game Saturday.
Oh, yeah.
I went to the game.
Yeah.
And I was miserable.
Why are you?
It's just not
Not
the
the
same,
same, not the
man.
sweet?
It's just not the same.
No sweets.
Wow.
It's really
See,
it's really not the same. It's very hard to explain.
Yeah.
It's just not
and
the same.
we were close to the field. We had great seats. It's just not the same, man. There isn't anything except for maybe you having a child or getting married or that I can compare. Yeah, I can't compare. Yeah, I know some guys that feel the same, but there isn't. TV doesn't do it any justice. Sitting in the stands doesn't do it any justice. There isn't anything else like that, but participating in sport itself. That's the only thing that would equal that. And then when you're standing on the sideline in Bryant-Denny Stadium, whether you're out there on the field or you're on the sideline, you're still part of the game.
Yeah.
Because there's so much stuff going on. I mean, and you could get run over and killed just as easy on the sidelines as you could out on the field. And with my involvement with the officials and all of that type of stuff, there isn't anything that compares to it ever. I can't imagine. I've never experienced anything except for my kids being born. I guess that would equal that. And,
so you talk about, he asked the question like hype matching up to the expectations of what the game is. In your time, it doesn't even have to be at LSU. In your time, what's the one game that like sticks out the most? Like, okay, this game was hyped as being the greatest game of the year, lived up to that billing, and you left that game and you're like, wow, holy shit, like that was awesome.
Because you always and you don't want to show up your former teams or something like that, because when I left Tennessee, I left in good standing.
Right.
Didn't have a problem with Coach Fulmer or anyone on the staff. But when I got here, we beat Tennessee in the SEC championship in 2001.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, still to this day, I think that is probably, and not because of beating Tennessee and upstaging Coach Fulmer or Coach Stuckey or Johnny Long or anyone like that, but that program, when I left Tennessee, it was, at the pinnacle of, their success. And then for us to take a team like that we were still building, and to go to Atlanta and beat Tennessee, that was huge. And then I guess the drumming that we gave Miami, again, because a team, when I left Miami and for a few years after, because I know how much effort I put into Tennessee and Miami being successful. Mm-hmm. And those guys standing across the field, because you have mutual respect. I left there on great standing. There were so many coaches and players that I knew, and I'm still tight with them today. So beating them in the Chick-fil-A Bowl was a huge win. And then, of course, the national championship game against Oklahoma and Ohio State and Clemson are all big games too. But, those two victories are the ones that stand out the most to me, because of knowing where those teams were.
Right.
It kind of gave me a lot of satisfaction that the things that we were doing here were good, and that our team was destined to be like one of those teams were. And so,
this is from one of the listeners in the chat. Michael Ruby asked, you coached at Miami, you coached at LSU. He was asking the 2001 Miami team or the 2019 LSU team, of the two teams that you've coached.
No question. 2019.
There's not even,
there's no comparison. And, I've had a couple of debates with former Miami Hurricane players about that. But, I don't think there's any question that 2019 is not the best team ever.
I agree.
I'd agree with that.
I think the defense was even better than the numbers showed them being okay. But I think they were better than the numbers. I think the offense was just so explosive that they were on the defense on the field for so long.
The defense that they had was not – the numbers don't tell the story what they were. When you're going back out there every fourth play because the offense is just running up and down the field, it's hard to be a good defense.
Unless you do 35,
it's hard to be a good statistical defense then.
In a day.
And that's all I'm going to get to. So there's a – go ahead. You have something to say?
No, I was just getting fired up.
No, keep going. That's all I want.
No.
I can tell you this, too. Like, I even remember showing up here my freshman year when I showed up here and looking at the absolute thoroughbreds that was running around on that team, and that was still the same team that went to the Sugar Bowl that year and beat the brakes off of Notre Dame that year, right?
Yeah,
we had a
that was a fist
the
fight
best
too.
LSU
we had
team to
an
never
unbelievable
win.
team, and I was steadfast on that's the best team I had ever been able to be close to or see, or obviously because I was on the team, right? 2019, I don't really think it was much of an argument.
So we always kept all the testing data and stuff like that from team to team. And the 2005, 2006 teams were unbelievable when you compared them to teams before them and teams after them. Those guys, we had some freak shows on that squad. Freak shows.
Yeah.
No, I've heard you talk about them. I've heard Jared talk about them, and I've heard Jacob Hester talk about the 2006 team as if it feels like you kind of missed one. Yeah. Where it was you just didn't catch it at the right time, but at the end of the year, like there's nobody in the country. If there was a playoff, you would have been able to win a national championship.
Yeah, it's not even. Well, and I say this because I think at some point we'll end up talking about this guy, but had Coach Saban stayed,
oh God,
we would have won championships in 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15,
literally.
16,
No doubt.
I try to tell people
And
all the
Saban
time.
says that too.
Literally.
Yeah.
Saban says that Louisiana is the best place. If you want to go out and you want to have sustained success, Louisiana is the best place to go. If he would have stayed here, he would have done better here than he did at Alabama. I'm not saying it because I'm an LSU fan. I'm saying because he said it.
Right.
Because if you go look at Louisiana recruits.
That man just said 05, 06, 07, 08. Like it would have been.
No, I think it's funny because I think LSU fans hate Saban and they hate Alabama, but they hate him subconsciously, not understanding is because we're just jealous because that's what it should have been here
for my life.
through that time.
It's like the one that got away, you know. So, it's 2019 and still, like I saw this thing and it was Joe Burrow, and he was doing an interview, and he asked Joe if Joe ever had an issue with self-conscious.
It was the Dan Patrick interview.
Yeah,
I actually
that's
saw it.
it.
He's like, "Why do you have so much confidence?" Like, because I prepared on Monday, Tuesday,
Wednesday, Thursday, and then he asked him, "What was the question?" He asked him if he ever thought about losing or ever thought about failure. Do you ever doubt yourself?
Yep. Why do you have so much confidence?
And Joe goes, "Who, me?" Mm-hmm. And Joe was like, "Absolutely not." Like Joe was offended by it. And that's the way he was. And when you have a leader like that running your team, it takes it to an entirely different level because that guy called the shots. He had the ball. It's like having a dominant pitcher. It's like having Nolan Ryan as your pitcher because he touches the ball every play. On offense, he touches the ball every down. And when you have somebody like that throwing BBs, you're going to be successful.
Yeah, you think LSU was confident when Paul Skeens went out there?
Yeah, exactly.
No
and
doubt.
that's the equivalent of Joe Burrow.
So before we get to the Moffitt method again, part of the Moffitt method is stuff that you've learned through your whole life. We were listening to an interview. One of our friends, a guy you trained here, played football here, Russell Shepard, was on an interview. And this guy asked him, what was the hardest workout you ever have gone through? He started laughing. He said, I had to run 35 110s, and then it was 110 up downs or something like that?
125.
125.
No.
Yes.
All right. So, that's Thomas McGahee's son. T-Mac was our special team. No, he was the wide receiver coach. And his son does that because a lot of people have sent that to me.
Shucking the blame.
Yeah.
A
lot of people have. I've seen that a couple times this week. So, yeah, that is true. And so it was funny because I read some of the comments in it, and this one guy said that, that is stupid, that blows his central nervous system away and all this stuff. But, that was easy. 88% of our team passed that conditioning test every year for 22 years. 88% of our team passed it. And then if you didn't pass it on Tuesday, you had to take it again on that first Friday, that Friday coming at you. And then of the 22% that did not pass it, 75% of that 22%.
Don't look at me for math.
I know. They would pass it the second time. So they had run it twice that week. They couldn't pass it the first time. But then they were somehow able to pass it a second time. It wasn't physical. Nope. It was mental. Yep. So Evan Washington, and if anybody knows Big Evan Washington, he came to me before we ran it a particular morning, and he says, "Coach, I'm letting you know right now, I didn't run the entire month of May, and I might die today." And I said, "Evan, you got this, man." He goes, "Oh, I know. I'm going to give it all I got, but I'm just telling you." Yeah, I'm just saying. So when he passed it, all right, hadn't run.
Right.
Now, if he would have been a freshman, he wouldn't have made it.
Right.
But he made it. And when it was over, I said, "How'd you do it?" He said, "Prayer, Coach, prayer." And that's mental.
All right.
It's all mental.
No doubt.
It's no more the distance that Russell ran that day. He would run more than that in a normal practice, every time we practiced.
Right.
But it was mental. And the people and we had guys that were really good athletes that couldn't pass it. And it's because they gave up mentally before they were ever physically challenged. And so it wasn't a conditioning test. Mm-hmm. It was a toughness test. It was a test for
aptitude.
Yeah, their commitment to being able to push themselves when they didn't think they could do it again. And then the up downs was just icing on the cake. For
the icing I tried to stay away from.
Yeah, I know.
Actually, don't want dessert.
I would have been able to move my arms the next day. My arms would have been. It was not the 110s that had done it to me.
Well, see, here's the thing.
Here's
the thing. Up downs are a little bit different than burpees, as you know. So you can I just need you to get back up.
Yeah,
because you're going back down.
Yeah, but the
thing
it's
is,
still.
So many people thought it was over after the 110s. Like, actually,
well, they understand. They always understood what was at stake.
Right.
But you find out who is really committed. You find out, and we always knew who wasn't going to pass it before. And
Players
then you
too.
knew the first guy that wasn't going to get up off the ground doing up downs.
Players did too.
Yeah, players did too.
Because even when you started running in baseball, as you were running the 110s throughout the summer or throughout the fall when getting yourself ready, guys would just be like, "Hey, he's usually struggling by number 6. So you make sure you get the hell away from
exactly
me
right.
because I don't need to see you struggling because that's going to get into my head. So I'm going to go on this side. Please don't come anywhere near me." And then the other guys would be like, "Hey, you like to talk a lot. I'm not trying to hear this, bro. I got to be right here this whole time."
Hey, there is some guys that they don't want to know what rep they're on. No. They don't want a pep talk.
Leave me alone.
Yeah, you see some stuff and hear some stuff out there, but that was something that we did, and the amazing thing is that we would always ask those guys after they were through what they thought about it, and they would say, "Coach, make sure that you do that again next year. Whatever you do, don't ever take that out of the program." And it's It's kind of a rite of passage in some ways, but you also know, everyone on the team knows who those guys are that can't make themselves do it, and you know that you can't count on those guys when the chips are down.
We had to do that for baseball. Not 35. I think it was like 18. It was something. It was, I mean, for a baseball player, you know, it was, 110s. 110s in the indoor. It was kind of the same thing. Obviously, Truck was our strength coach, so took that from football. It wasn't 35.
Well, and people don't understand this either. When they're running the 26 or the 35 that they ran and didn't do it right and had to keep running and do the up downs, it's not a one-day thing.
No, right.
Like they've been doing this 16 to 20 of them every Monday. So you build up to that spot, and then there it is. But you know, you would get to every Monday morning and be like, hey man, I'm gonna be honest with you. If I get 4 hours of sleep, 8 hours of sleep, chug 6 things of water, no water, it's gonna hurt.
It's gonna hurt no matter what.
So I'm just gonna have to get through it. But I'm gonna be finished and I'm gonna be done, and the rest of my day is gonna be fine.
That's right.
But this is going to hurt. This just is what it is. So like you just do it.
Now this program's not in the Moffitt method, right?
No.
You're not making people listen. Well, I don't want the Moffitt method because now I'm gonna have to run 24 110s and 125 up downs. That's not the case.
35
That's not.
110s.
I mean,
It's the premium
35
package.
110s. That's not the case. Now
Start over.
You know, the Moffitt method, which, and I think this is a good idea. I think we should maybe talk about doing this. There's an app, obviously. It comes on an app. You have a Reddit program. I think we should make Lloyd do a 30-day Moffitt method program.
Challenge.
And do it before and after.
Y'all are taking those pictures, not me.
Make them go in like a hole on like the bodybuilder
Coach, I want to see the after.
Before and after.
Yeah, I'll see the after. I don't want to see the before.
Because within the Moffitt method, obviously you write the program and you make it, you make it customizable to that person, right? Is that
the elite athlete?
Well, so elite, ultra elite. No, so all right, now we're coming out with. We have several products,
right?
Okay, so we have 2 products. We have the team program that is fully customizable. Then we have the Moffitt 1-to-1 program, which is fully customizable. Okay, so those 2 are customizable. You have access to a strength and conditioning coach. I mean, I'm not going to say 24 hours a day, but in a reasonable amount of time, in easy 12 hours per day, because our coaches have other clients that they're working with, but it's 7 days a week. So you have access to a coach, plus you have 400 instructional videos that go along with those 2 programs. Right. All right. Then we have 4 brand new products that we are in the process of releasing. I talked about one last week, Body by Moffitt. That is a 52-week training program.
I think that's every
that would be
week.
Perfect for Lloyd.
I think that's every week. That's no bye weeks.
It would be perfect for Lloyd. I guess you could call it's like power bodybuilding. It's for, it's not going to be something that you see a bro doing, at the local gym where he does.
Try scooping creatine and.
Well, where he does biceps on one day, triceps on the next, chest on one day, you know.
Skipping legs.
Yeah, skipping legs. It's not like that. It's not like that.
On the fly machine.
Yeah. But it's power bodybuilding where, you're going to squat and bench. There's some cleans. There's, barbell presses. But then there's also some of the more common things among bodybuilders is where you do as many reps as possible in a minute, and things
burnout.
of that nature. Yeah.
So for me, right? Let's say, you want to keep going?
Yes. Now we're
me.
also I'm breaking it down for you now. So now we have to make it easier, because what we found, because we asked the people that did not, because we come into contact with a lot of people. And we talk to them on the phone, give them a sample, and then they wouldn't sign up. So we asked them, and a lot of people just were not that serious right now, and they didn't want a 52-week year-round commitment. So we developed 3 6-week products. Number one is, and this has been a very good seller for us. It is a 6-week. No, definitely not that. But it's been a 6-week sprint speed-based program. And then we have a 6-week lifting program. And then we combine those two, and we have a 6-week sprint and lifting program. So we have now products for just about anyone, and we're going to continue coming out with additional products.
When you say sprints, right? Like you're talking about conditioning.
Yes.
Like what are the sprints consisting of?
Okay, from 5. All right, the shortest distance that you'll run is 5 yards. The longest distance that you will run sprinting is 40 yards. So the goal of that program is to get you as fast as humanly possible. It is a 6-week. It would be kind of like a combine preparation program without all the agility work. It's like, and it came from people saying, I have a 15-year-old son. He's on JV. He wants to make varsity, but his coach said he's got to get faster. So all it is now it's 4 days a week of running, 2 days a week of sprinting, and then 2 lighter days of technique work. And then there's actually an optional technique day on Saturday. So it's really a 5-day-a-week running program.
So if I wanted to say, you know what, I'm not playing baseball anymore, I'm not a professional athlete, but I want to continue to work out and train, I want to keep my athleticism for as long as I can, what would you say you need to do?
I would put you on the Body by Moffitt.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Where would you put me?
When you Body by Moffitt.
Body by Moffitt.
Same shit, yeah.
Plus creatine.
Plus. with a little Jesus.
Yeah, and steaks. Lots of steaks, chicken and fish. But you know, the Body by Moffitt, if you, and I guarantee you, if you follow that every day for 4 months and you walk in Superior Grill on ladies' night, heads are going to turn. Now, you can't do that. You can't do that.
I mean, you can. You
can go in there, yeah. But I'm telling you, it's a serious program.
In public.
Yeah, it's a serious program.
Now, so I guess my next question would be, and this is good because you see all this stuff on Instagram or Twitter, and you see all these strength coaches.
Right.
Oh, this is the diet, or this is the workout you need to do. No lifting, only this, only running, or only lifting, no running, whatever, right? If I want to say, okay, well, I want to make sure that if I want to go play basketball or wherever, and I want to feel like I was still an athlete.
Body by Moffitt is still going to do that
go.
for you. Okay. I called it power bodybuilding. You know, so there is enough every minute on the minute stuff and some metabolic training aspect of it. It's still, you're going to maintain a very good level of athleticism and local muscular endurance, the energy system that you need to play basketball and stuff.
And for someone that maybe doesn't understand how workouts work or weights, they say, well, I don't want to only lift because I'm going to get too bulky and I don't want to be like that. What do you say to those people?
Well, I don't. Well, first of all, Body by Moffitt. No. All right. So first of all, when you start aging, there's this thing called sarcopenia, and that's where you lose muscle tissue. So whether you are a male or a female, your goal should be to pack on as much as lean muscle tissue as you possibly can. Number one, because the more muscle you have, the greater your metabolism is, therefore you burn more calories. But a more muscular person is a healthier person when you start aging. And, I've been in a weight room, I don't know, as long as I can remember, since I was 12 years old.
I was actually born in there.
I'm kind of bored of hanging out in weight rooms and stuff, but I still train. And so whether it is fight or flight, if you're standing out here and a car is careening out of control, you better be physically fit enough to get out of the way of that automobile. And then, I could think of 1,000 scenarios. In fact, that the founder of CrossFit founded that program based on that one premise over everything else. And that was so that, when stuff hits the fan, you're able to respond. If you have a intruder in your house, you're strong enough to defend yourself. If you're a woman and you're walking down the street and someone attacks you, you should be physically fit and strong enough to defend yourself. And that's why it's important, male or female, to strive to carry as much muscle tissue as you can for that very reason. And then there's a lot of other reasons. But as you age, you lose muscle tissue. And so the more the more lean muscle you have going into your 50s, the more muscle you're going to have in your 60s, 70s, and 80s. And it is something that you can literally do the rest, or something that you should do your entire life. Now, the fitness industry is a multi-billion-dollar business, and it's like that for a reason. But the people who, in fact, lifting has actually been shown to be better for you than cardio.
Yep.
For all those reasons that I just stated. And so it's important that you train, no matter who you are, that you train in the weight room.
Now, if somebody were to want to do this, you have a consultation with them, and you talk about what they want and what their goals are.
We're going to document all of this.
What's that?
So we're going to document all of this.
Right, right. Yeah. So you say, hey, this is what I want to do. I want to lose 15 pounds. I want to gain muscle. I want to be faster, whatever. Like, you have that consultation, and you construct the program for them.
Yes.
Correct? You have one?
That's perfect. No, I want to lose 15 pounds. I want to gain muscle, and I want to be faster.
Well, here's the deal. I think the gaining muscle for you and losing 15 pounds, that's going to be a little counterproductive.
Yeah, I'm looking.
It's the bye
you don't
week.
have 15 pounds to lose.
You just need to tighten up a little
For
bit.
the people that don't know, can you explain just a little bit of how some people get so infatuated with the scale and don't realize that sometimes you may physically feel and or look better, and you may not have lost a single weight. You may actually have gained weight.
Absolutely. And really, you shouldn't even worry about a scale. There's a couple of things, especially if you have heart rate. If you have a smart watch, you should look at your heart rate, and really that's it. And how many steps you take a day.
So I'm basically working out on game day when I'm walking around from tailgate to tailgate.
Yeah.
by measure of steps, not heart rate.
But honestly, the scale isn't a good measure of a person's physical fitness, because, you have endomorphs, ectomorphs, and mesomorphs. And those three body types are primarily genetic. Okay, so you're not going to change a person's DNA by training, by doing a particular style of program. But you can become much more healthier and much more resilient to illness and fatigue and disease, and not lose a pound.
Right.
Not lose a pound. And so, yes, that's the last thing that you need to do. In fact, I was looking for a scale in our house today, and I couldn't even find a scale in our house. We don't even own a scale. Now, I don't know that the Moffitts are a picture of health, but
we got one for food. That's really it.
Yeah. I mean, that's it. That's all we have is a scale for food, and that's it. But yes, you can train. In fact, the first thing that you notice when you start training is that the muscles starting to tighten up, and then you'll start feeling a little knot in your bicep and a little knot in your quads, and that's the first thing that you feel. It takes, and I'm going to be honest, many people who, when they look in the mirror and they say, man, I don't like the way I look, that didn't happen overnight.
Right.
That takes years for many to get to that place where when they look in the mirror, they're not happy with how they look. It's not going to change overnight. 3 weeks, 3 months isn't enough. And to do it the right way, it takes a year, a minimum of 1 year. In fact, I saw something on Instagram, and you can't believe everything that you see on Instagram, but there was a photo of a guy, he probably weighed 300 pounds, and he said exactly 1 year later, it was his 1 year photo, the guy probably lost 80 or 90 pounds. I mean, was lean with a six-pack. And that's how long it takes to lose it and to get in shape.
Well, it's consistency also.
Yes, absolutely consistency. And that's what we tell our coaches. You can't take a bad high school strength and conditioning program and change it overnight. You know, you have to change culture, just like adults have to change their mindset. You have to change the culture and what you say and what you do and places you go to eat. And then in 3 months, you'll start seeing some improvement. But 3 months, if I started in January, if I'm a high school football team, I start training in January, then spring ball is going to be somewhere around 3 months. And we go into spring ball in great shape. The problem is after spring ball, everybody wants to take a break until June. But you can't. You got to go right back in the gym and keep training. In 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, those are all good timetables, but it takes a full year to actually see game-changing results.
I think we should do it, Lloyd. I think we should do it. We should all do Body by Moffitt.
And get jacked.
And I'm going to get jacked.
But now you got to stick to it.
You got to stick to it.
That's
hold each other accountable.
Consistency is the key, coach.
Hold each other accountable. Now, if anyone listening or watching wants to do this.
Look like me.
Want to go look not like Lloyd.
Come on, Lloyd.
Maybe look like Jared.
Yes.
Not like Mitch.
The MoffittMethod.fit is the website.
Yes.
And you can get all the information on there. You can find out how to get to what app to download, how to download the app, how to get in touch with you. And once they get in touch with you and you have a consultation with them, then they have a better idea of what their workout would be and how they move forward. And then you would teach them how to use the app and how they go. Is that the right way to
Exactly.
do it? Perfect. I'm going to do it. I think I'm going to do it. I'm going to go to the stable. They just built that new thing.
Yeah.
And I'm going to just buy a membership, and I'm going to do the Moffitt method.
Then that's my other question. Is there a place where you can get personally trained? Like, do you have
As of right now?
Right.
No.
Or is that in the...
There are things
happening.
There are things happening.
The works is working.
It's happening. Something's happening.
Yeah, there are things happening. But, you know, honestly...
I'll come live with you.
Here's the amazing thing. Honestly, we set the program up. If you get our first two options, you know, the customized high school program or the Moffitt 1-to-1, as long as you are committed to doing it, you can do it in your garage because of the 400 and some odd videos that we have. I mean, the program is set up.
Body weight.
Well, no. I mean, you would need a barbell, but...
Yeah, who am I talking to?
Can you imagine him coaching him?
Yeah, all right. I'm
You'll
retired.
You'll never meet somebody more frustrating than this one. I can guarantee it.
I can guarantee you 2 weeks into you won't meet him at all. He'll be done. He'll stop showing up. That's where he's at.
And then he'll show up again 6 months later.
Hey, that's how you end up doing 125 up downs.
But you still believe in me, coach.
Yeah, I'm not going to put up with that.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
I'll give him his
I don't know how I
money
do
back.
it. I don't know how we do it.
Here's your
we
money
do
back.
it. We do it. It's all a labor of love.
Yeah.
Labor of love.
I'm not joking. I think I'm gonna.
I'm not
if you
either.
want, I can be. I'll be a test dummy if you want me. I don't care. I like it.
Test subject, not test
Yeah,
dummy.
yeah. Well, I'm kind of dumb, but
Yeah.
test subject.
It's already happened.
I mean, yeah.
It's not his fault.
It's not your fault. It's all me.
You didn't say it, I did.
Yeah, exactly. The MoffittMethod.fit. That's how you get all the information.
Or email us at info. Just send us an email. info@themoffittmethod.fit.
info@themoffittmethod.fit. You get back to it basically daily, right? There's not.
Yeah, so it depends
within
on
a
what
day.
time.
Yeah.
You know, it depends on what time of the day we get the notification. But yeah, I made a call this morning. First thing this morning, had a call. Boom, made a sale for a high school.
There we go.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Or you can do all of those things. You should do all of those things. Or you can listen to him on our show on Mondays at 6:15 and then do those things. If you have questions, if you want us to ask these questions, you can send them to us.
Put them in the
chat, and we'll ask away. We are very appreciative of you for coming in here.
Fun.
This is great. We get a little football conversation. We get a lot of strength and conditioning talk. We get life talk about how to stay healthy. I love it. It's getting me a little bit more motivated to get back onto what I was doing in college. 210, that's my goal. I know the weight doesn't matter, but 210, that's what I want. 210. We can get there. The Moffitt method is going to get me there.
That's how you get there.
No doubt.
If I got to 210.
Hey, can we say something though? Because you said that we would, or they would look like
Well, you
this
can't.
guy.
I mean, that's.
Have you ever seen the back on this guy? Right?
Yeah, he has built-in shoulder pads. It's unbelievable. Shoulders in his back.
We'd be in there working out, and I'd look over there. I'm like, who is that? His back was as wide as the Mississippi River.
And he hasn't realized he's a baseball player. This guy plays baseball.
It took me about 6 years into baseball to realize, like, oh wait, I actually do have a decent arm because my back's
It's in there. It's in there. You just gotta let it get. And then you got the high ass. The ass goes up to his neck.
Yeah.
You're like, well, okay, it makes a lot of sense now.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense.
Small ankles,
For
good
reach,
calves, great ass.
I'm not offering any guarantees. That
Nah.
you look like that.
You can strive to look like that. You may not look like that. You can strive to look like that. You have to get a tan too.
Yeah, a lot of a tan. You need a lot of that. Just to be honest about it. It's two things we can't guarantee.
That'd be the Ponderosa.
That's it. Coach, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Have a
Thank
great
you.
rest of the Monday, great rest of the week, and we will talk to you again next Monday.
Yes, thank you very
I
much.
appreciate it, of
Thanks
course.
for having
Thank
me
you.
on, guys.
Anytime.
All right, bye-bye.
It's a highlight of my week.
No, it literally has to every Monday.
It has to.
Yeah.
He's doing it because he's very generous with his time.
I'm
We appreciate
emailing
that.
Buddy Bob Moffitt right now. It's got a response.
Oh man,
Take your time.
great Monday.
He never thought he would
Coach,
get a person
later.
like me
See
in
you,
his
man.
life.
Great Monday. We're gonna wind this show down. Look,
Work so hard to avoid people like me.
The Moffitt Method Mondays brought to you by obviously the Moffitt Method, but also brought to you by our friends at Heineken. Heineken Silvers are light beers, 95 calories, 4% alcohol. We've grown very fond of Heineken Silver. It's very easy to drink. It's very nice to have in the ice chest or in the tailgates. You obviously have football season. You're right in the middle of football season. That's going to go until about January, February, and then you move on to baseball season. And Heineken Silver is going to go great tailgating for these LSU baseball games. Look, if you're at the MLB games, go ahead, pour yourself a little bit of a Heineken Silver. 95 calories, 4% alcohol. They've been one of our OG Day One sponsors, so we appreciate them, thank them for everything they do. Now, let's get to our Steggies. Mistake of the day is brought to you by our friends at Dozy Place. Lloyd, this is you, baby. What you got?
No, but it's not me.
Take the reins.
Well,
The mistake of the day was courtesy of, it was not Jack's mistake, but somebody stepped into it on Twitter, and I don't know if we can emphasize this enough. You're not talking to Mikey whenever you're talking to the Mik'd Up account. Now, is it some of his thoughts and opinions? Yes. Is it some of Jared's thoughts and opinions? Yes. But
No, it's us. It's actually us. We actually go letter for letter. He puts one letter up at the next letter.
yeah.
we alternate.
Did we just become best friends?
Yes.
So, whenever you get into it on Twitter, just know you're dealing with somebody even more on demon time than I am. He's got time in the day. And for a particular replier, after just a simple post of Heisman favorite, Jaden Daniels, great game, I would say.
Great season, I would say. Michael Penix, great season. Not so much a great game.
But we do this a week-by-week deal.
Yep.
That's where we are right now. For Jordan Reffett, who is a former Washington player, couldn't show his colors
Also
more.
NFL, apparently.
Well, that's up for how you determine NFL time. Just go ahead and look. I'll give you the scroll. But Jordan Reffett thought he had time today, and turns out Jack had more time. So whenever you look at our Twitter, just go to the replies, and you will see a good bit of repartee back and forth between
Jack.
Jack, Mikey, Jared, and Jordan.
And that was great.
I wish I would scroll through here, but I can't because
we don't have time.
We don't have time.
we
but you
don't
know who does?
But Jack had the time.
Yes, he does.
And you did the blink. You did the camera angle to the blink chair.
I did. Well, because normally 3 would be me.
Yeah.
But we have a different setup. So 0 is me.
0.
Because I'm a loser.
No, you're not a loser. Great mistake of the day. It's great that Jack had the back of LSU fans and Jaden Daniels. I think Jaden is look the Mondays right now. The Mondays right now are kind of sprints, especially when you have 2 guests back to back. I know you probably want to have a lot more we had a lot more conversation that we wanted to have on sports. We're going to have all that on Wednesday. But that's a great mistake of the day. Now we're going to go to our curtain calls, which are brought to you by our friends at Assured Partners.
And
me. What we got today, boys?
I'm going to lead it off. My curtain call goes to Cam Jordan. After a very miserable, very forgettable loss this past week, Cam Jordan back in the community doing some community things, and kind of forget it's cool to see him this many years into it, still in the community, doing things to actually help kids out. And you kind of forget the impact some of these guys have on kids. And this, they say a picture, and in this case, a video is worth 1,000 words. And it could basically show you what Cam Jordan or the presence of Cam Jordan did for this, one kid right here. So I have a curtain call to him for showing up and being able to be in that place.
We have a video. Okay. Look, my man.
I mean, my man.
I got my oldest.
Hey, that is
action
a
figure you just saw.
That is a. What do they call it?
But that being said, I got my
I
oldest.
didn't believe it's like seeing Santa Claus.
Yeah, this is a moment that's gonna stick with him for the rest of his life.
Forever.
Right? He'll never forget that one moment. Like that is what's happening.
Look at that man's face.
I love that.
Didn't see this.
Cannot believe what just walked through the door in his
I love that.
3rd grade, 2nd
We
grade
forget.
class. Yep.
We also forget that they're human. The athletes are actual
Yep.
human beings too, right? Like you put them on a pedestal, which is great. And the ones that do what he does, that's the great thing. I think we forget the other side of it. Like, hey, like this guy's just a dude too, So I
He
think
can
that's
come to
awesome.
school
Yeah,
and
it's a great
read to you.
one. Right. What you got, Lloyd?
Oh, I was going to do yours because I have it pulled up.
Okay, my curtain call.
As a man that may not be human.
No, this is a great play. So watching the postseason, obviously postseason, last couple of games have been awesome. Lloyd's a fake baseball fan, so he tends to forget that there is baseball going on. But the Astros, there's a lot of LSU fans that are Astros fans. This guy was an Astros game in an LSU jersey. Home run hit to right field, and he makes this play with a nice little dip in his mouth and a dip can in his hand.
Dip before and after.
Bare hand stab it on a home run.
Topo.
Yeah, this ball's hit slicing. And I got it. So good. Bare hand
Locked in.
home run.
Locked in. My guy just stands up, snags it, sits back down.
You know how many home runs I caught at Alex Box?
No smile, just like, duh, I got it.
Gotcha.
That's my guy. All right, you, Lloyd?
My curtain call belongs to Trey Holly.
Yep.
Somebody that I feel like is a little forgotten about because you've seen the emergence of Caleb Jackson. You've seen LSU kind of work through a running back room that has a ton of people. But if you know your LSU football history or your Louisiana football history, Trey Holly is the leading rusher of all time in Louisiana high school sports. Mm-hmm. And he finally gets his number called. And
no doubt. That was a great cut. I don't think people realize how quick, how good that was right there. Great. That's a good one.
Thank you.
Good show today, boys. We appreciate everybody tuning in, watching us. We appreciate all the love and support. We'll be back here Wednesday live from 6 to 8
Moffitt
p.m.
method on the bye week is tough.
What's that?
It's the perfect time to start it.
Perfect time to start it. If you can't watch us, you like listening to us, or anywhere you get your pods, we'll be back again, like I said, live on Wednesday from 6 to 8 p.m. Please like and subscribe to our channel. We love y'all. We appreciate y'all. Enjoy the rest of your Monday. You got this is the second game.
Yeah.
Phillies are not doing great.
What's the score?
Right now, it was 5 or 6-1, I think.
They had a couple of chances.
Yeah, maybe some late inning magic. Go turn it on, see what you got. You also got Monday Night Football tonight. So
Who plays?
it is the Vikings
And
Niners
against the Niners.
7-point spread.
I took the Vikings +7, so take the opposite. All right.
I disagree. You're hot.
I'm not hot. Enjoy your night.
Oh no, weekend didn't go great.
Weekend didn't go great. No, it didn't go terrible.
But it's not hot.
It was not hot. Even Steven. Enjoy the rest of your Monday. Peace.
Go score. A touchdown.